Hello and welcome to Let's Plays Disco Elysium Part 12. So it's getting pretty late and Kim wants to talk to us.
We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of year.
Maybe that will stop the body from decomposing too badly. But I haven't paid the cafeteria manager for the damages yet. You should take care of that then. But I don't have the money. Let's talk to him anyway. An officer of the RCM shouldn't be sleeping in the streets. We'll figure something out. Though he finds this situation frustrating, he is doing his best to not make you feel any worse than you already do. Okie dokie. It's almost midnight in-game, so we're not going to make a lot of progress because everybody's going to be in bed soon.
Can I help you?
Okay, here's your trash container key. Maybe that'll make him a bit more happy? Thanks, I hope you found what you're looking for. I found the victim's clothes. How strange. I certainly didn't put them there. I certainly didn't put them there. Okay, could someone on your staff have put them in there? Sylvie had the keys before I got here, and I can vouch for her. I can vouch for all my staff. None of us would tamper with a crime scene. Who else has keys to the trash container? The trash collection service? CS Municipal? I don't see why they would put anything in the trash though. Ah, the elusive CS Municipal. I doubt we'll be able to track down who was sent here last and when. This will have to be one of those little threads that solves itself down the line. He turns to the man. Thank you anyway. Maybe you don't remember putting them in there. Maybe you were sleepwalking or in a fugue state. The cafeteria manager grimaces. I think fugue states are more your forte, officer. Oh dear. Let's talk about something else. Okay. About that money I owe. Yes, have you got it? I was wondering if we could come to some sort of arrangement for tonight. Does that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me? It's cold out. I'll freeze to death because I'm losing the stupid money game. Game? Everything is just a game to you, isn't it? This conversation isn't going anywhere, is it? Not until you bring me the money. Okay. Kim turns to you with a heavy sigh. I might have something in my motor carriage we can use when you're done here. I really didn't want to resort to this, the man is thinking. Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here. I seem to be in need of a fridge. Yes, for the dead body. You want to put a dead corpse in my fridge, right? Flattery is the way. Well, we've heard you have like a huge fridge. Colossal, practically a mausoleum. You've heard wrong, and you're not putting a dead body in my fridge. Damn. I thought the size thing would work. Why? Because this is a culinary establishment, not a morgue. I can't believe you even asked me. It would only be for a... Lieutenant, you too? He can't believe it. You're asking too? No. The answer is no. I will not turn this place into some kind of macabre circus. Kim sighs. Let's go talk to the freaked clerk. Right. Goodbye. So there's something in the car that could help us with the money situation, Kim says. There we are. Inside you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge. I have something here we could sell. Look in the back in the suspect transport enclosure. Okay, look in the suspect transport enclosure. The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable. 4 shiny hubcaps are stacked against the seat. Their silver edges sparkle in the dark. I confiscated these 4 a little while back. We can take them to the pawn shop down by the Martinez Canal. What are those things? They're spinner hubcaps, frivolous things you put on your wheels when the wheels come to a stop. He makes a spinning motion with his hands. The caps keep on spinning. There's no real use for them. It's just for vanity. A vanity he wouldn't mind. What do you mean you confiscated them? A couple of weeks ago I stopped a young man from going slower than the speed of traffic. It turns out he was some coalition official's son and high. Look at the spinners. I get it. I would have confiscated them too. They're mesmerising. That they are. The lieutenant looks at the spinners and sighs. I was going to take them into evidence, but they weren't necessary for conviction. He never asked for them back. Did you want to put these spinners on your machine? Point to the Keenma. No, that would be silly. He hesitates. I don't know why I kept them. It doesn't matter. I couldn't put them on this MC anyway. A cop with spinners? That would be outrageous. Yes, outrageously cool. He flashes a smile, barely visible in the dark. I'm sorry you have to sell them because of me. As I said, they're useless anyway. I should have remembered I have these earlier. But thank you. Thanks, I appreciate your help. Take the spinners. The lieutenant nods as you take the spinners. Right, so the pawn shop's up this way. Let's go and have a look-see. The guy is still awake.
Greetings on this fine night. What brings you here?
You do know that it's not really a fine night. The weather is terrible.
Is it? Spring is capricious, yes.
How come you're still open?
The pawn shop is always open.
Ooh. So we can figure out what the hell he's taking to stay awake so long. But we'd like to sell something. Yes, we'd like to sell these hubcaps. The lieutenant steps in and hands him the spinners. Rory takes the hubcaps from the lieutenant and inspects them. The spinners appear iridescent in the dancing light of his pawn shop. He marvels at the cobalt shimmer and nods. Yes, these are very, very good. Did you defraud some foreign prince for them? Jump a mesk banger? No matter, I'll give you 200 real. No one was defrauded or jumped, I assure you, the lieutenant explains as the pawnbroker opens the register and counts the cash. Of course, I meant no offence. 200 real for you, officer. Delightful doing business with you. Do come again. Thank you. Kim takes the cash, then turns to you. Here's 130 real that you need for your bill. Do not waste it. The rest goes into his pocket. The rest is for him to compensate for the pain of being separated from his radiant spinners. The windfall is a small consolation. Anything else you're thinking of selling? Both the lieutenant and the pawnbroker turn to you. I'll check my pockets. Okay, so basically we can pawn the pin we were given by the nice lady. We don't really have a lot. Most of it's worth pennies. We don't have anything to sell at the moment, but other business to take care of right now. We might be able to improve our electrochemistry maybe by changing our outfit. Oh, okay, so we're changing them pants and changing to those gloves. That would help. Okay, let's see if we can figure out.
Greetings on this fine night. What brings you here?
Okay, let's give it a go. It's a white check, so theoretically we could try it again. Ah, not very good at this, are we? Okay. So now we potentially have somewhere to sleep, at least for the first night. That was really kind of Kim. I mean, that's not small potatoes, is it?
Can I help you?
Okay, about that money. I have your money. Here, I'm sorry for the trouble. Great, thank you, officer. That's all I wanted. Payment for services rendered. If you continue to stay here, I just ask that you please pay your nightly bill in advance, starting tomorrow. He's not sorry about his behaviour for your sake. Now that you have money, he really wants to make sure you're not angry with him. Oh. I'll unlock the electronic lock on your door. He taps his foot against a metal box installed in the back of the bar counter. All the doors lock automatically at 9 o'clock. Please pay for each night in advance, starting tomorrow, 20 real per night. Well, I mean, at this rate, we're not going to be able to afford it. He opens his wallet. I'll take a room here too. Of course. Gart takes the money and hands him a keyring. Always happy to have officers of the RCM as guests. Anything else I can help you with? Not at the moment. Goodbye. Okay. At least that gives us some degree of respectability, I suppose. You never know, we could start picking up loads more bottles. We need to go to the bottle machine thing anyhow. This is the door to the room you redecorated. Good night, Lieutenant.
Just a moment. We should talk about our progress on the investigation. Let's go out to the balcony.
Alright, let's go. The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum, then...
Now then, we should talk about the investigation. But I also feel you're a bit hazy on the RCM. Our role here, our rights, our jurisdiction, basically.
I didn't know you smoked, Kim. I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's something of a ritual. Oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette. Right, to the debrief. Yes, he pulls on the cigarette. It's been a long and eventful day. How do you think today went? Or should I ask about the powers of the RCM? Exactly. Yeah, let's ask about that. They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Revocol citizens militia exercised most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offences in accordance with an interdepartmental schedule. Wouldn't that be an easy power to abuse? Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their police station. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. He frowns. It undermines trust in the RCM. 1,000, why not more? The RCM's primary role is to ensure safety. We're not really supposed to play any part in the economic structure of Revocol. Okay, so is that the way that we're somehow going to get money? I mean, can we use that money ourselves? We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station call slip. It prevents confusion and overcrowding. How can you be sure the arrestee will turn up? You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. It's about power projection. Thus far, they seem to mostly show up. I see, and if someone resists, we are permitted to use whatever force we deem necessary, even lethal. Jeez, so if I kill someone while on duty, you have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. In these cases, your partner is usually your witness. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It is hard to cover for anyone, which is for the best. Have you ever killed anyone, Kim? Yes, he pauses. Last time was 4 years ago. He says it matter-of-factly and moves on. Have I killed anyone? That's an improbability, perhaps even impossibility. I probably have. Precinct 41 is known for a higher than average rate of police violence. Oh dear. What happens to the people we convict? We don't convict, we arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Curon and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and records, which is why it's paramount to keep them. He taps on his coat pocket, where he keeps his notes. And who makes all these rules? The coalition government? Yes, the international community's mission in Revocol. And the Moralintern, more broadly. Okay? The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now we attempt to maintain that order, no more, no less. His gaze is absently fixed on a window below that just went dark, or perhaps it would be better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Revocol or the coalition government founded the RCM. Oh, let's say it was the citizens of Revocol. Be sentimental if you like. Either way, the Moralintern releases us the right to keep the peace in this city. And they will take it away if we misuse it. Or if they think you do. Okay, so this Moralintern, what is that? The Moralist International are the world's largest political organisation. He pulls on his cigarette. You know who they are? They've run this place after the revolution failed. If I didn't know who they were, how would you describe them? They're a union of centre-left and centre-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS, most intergovernment organisations in the world. What is their symbol? Interesting question. It's a blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline. I think you can gauge what they want you to think about them from that. Something kind and usual. Something almost self-explanatory. Something ominous. What do they believe in? What do they believe in? They are DeLoreans. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they're just technocrats. Those others say they continue the humanist project set forth by Dolores Day. Who was this Dolores Day? A historic figure? The author of the modern age? He thinks. You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me. Okay. What do you think about them? The Moralintern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until they change. And he looks at the city below. It doesn't look like that's about to happen. It's more than that. There's some kind of affection in him. You like the Moralintern? Yes, I did, when I was younger. In my 20s I considered myself a moralist. A blue forget-me-not, a piece of the sky, he quotes. They're not all that bad. That's another leitmotif associated with moralism. But the years have changed that. I don't know, presumably, what I believe in now. He thinks, then changes his mind. No, I believe in the RCM. That's enough for me. Okay, so I have an opinion on the Moralintern. Do I? Do I indeed? Do you? The lieutenant arches his brow, then pulls out his cigarette. It's a slim, white thing in his fingers. Okay. So they've done an awful job here. Have you seen the place? This isn't humanism. We are in what is called the twilight of international law. The laws we claim to enforce come from the MI. Without them, we are simply vigilantes. Actually, vigilantes is okay with me. Then you will adore Martinez. For many of these people, the Union especially, vigilantes is precisely what we are. Personally, I don't enjoy it much. He looks at the roundabout. Okay, so how do you think today went? We performed a thorough initial inspection of the victim's body, so that's good. One could say it's the main thing to do in a murder. Then you shot the body down, which was... He pauses, searching for the right word. Quite the shot. Damn straight. I'm a sharp-shooting cop. On this occasion, I must agree. At any rate, your shot enabled us to perform a field autopsy on the victim. We found some things we can really work with. I still feel like we're missing something, and there's still work to do at the crime scene too. He's right. You could smell it. There's something missing, even under the overpowering odour of the corpse. Now, as for interviews, my list of people to talk to here in Martinez, I mean. He takes a deep drag and looks at the city. That's my forte. Unlike most cops, I understand how important communication is in our line of work. I'm glad we can agree on that at least. We weren't able to find the union leader, Everett Clare, much less interview him, so that's on the to-do list for tomorrow. We tried to interview the Wild Pines rep, but she asked us to do something for her first. Fine, so be it. He purses his lips. I have a feeling Joyce knows how dangerous the situation really is. We have to get her to talk to us. If Kim is emphasising something this much, it really must be important. Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice? Oh, that's so meta. Kind of cool that he commented on it, though. Yeah, that's just how we roll in Precinct 41. He nods thoughtfully, tapping a finger on his cigarette. It's impressive, actually, for a man your age. And in those heels. He looks at your snakeskin shoes and smiles suddenly. Nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. Goes with the orange. Say nothing and just look into the night. The dying lights of the city shimmer below. Slowly, like luminous clouds, they pass on his lenses. The lieutenant looks at his slim cigarette, contemplating the next drag. This soldier is the highlight of the day for me. He thinks. This little stick, right here. Finally, he pulls on the cigarette and says, "They really don't like us here. And the mouth on that kid, Kuno. It's different inland, in Jamrock, and the GRIH. Why are they like this? It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the union, to the company, not daring to come here more often. This place has fallen between the cracks. The jurisdictions of our two precincts. Okay. And in Jamrock and the GRIH? He looks at the dark silhouette of the equestrian monument cutting into the night sky and says, "We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are..." He shakes his head. "But we're in control. And it's worth it. The organisation works. Our systems work. If they didn't, this city would disintegrate. I hope our investigation will help improve the situation here. At least do some good." "Me too," he says quietly. "But I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes. Thank you for this." Ooh, yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go. He puts out the stub of his cigarette and looks to the door. Okay. See you in the morning. Yes, indeed. I'm going in here. Bye. He is going in there. Right. So I think we'll just nip off and see if we can grab those boots. Maybe do a quick run down to the docks to see if we can ask Rich Lady for some money. She's certainly loaded enough. It's not bribe money, it's personal money. Unofficial, a donation. Right, sorry. Boots, 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 boots. This way. He's still there. Wow. Okay, let's try to remove his boots. The body is reluctant to let go of the boots, as though they were its last bit of dignity. Whoa, Kuno's little sneak pig's back for the booty. Yeah, fuck it to pieces for us, liar cop. Okay, pull that left boot. It feels like the leg is going to come off along with the boot, but you're able to get the boot to move a centimetre or two. Pull on the right boot. It's not completely useless. You're able to reveal a little bit more of the putrid polymer sock beneath the boot. See? The corpse doesn't care if you try to take his boots. He doesn't need them. He's probably glad to get rid of them. God. None of these sound terrific. Okay, like try to twist the boots off one by one. This is the right method. Cool. It takes some time, but eventually the boots come off, with nasty slices of polymer sock stuck to even bigger pieces of skin and rotting flesh. Look, he's skinning the fucker up good. Puco style. Hell, keep at it, pig. Take stock of the damage. The legs look like they've been clawed by wild animals. As for the boots, you can't possibly do anything with them until you've cleaned and disinfected them thoroughly. Yes, these absolutely need to be washed before. The stink is incredible. Didn't the Whirling have a kitchen? Yep, good point. Let's nip to the kitchen. I mean, midnight, still fairly early. Oh, the kitchen is damn well shut. Of course it is. Guard's still up.
Can I help you?
Doesn't really seem like he can help us. But I think maybe this pot or something? That could help us. We'll have to wait till the evening of the next night. Make a plan of some kind. How are our thoughts going? Oh, rigorous self-critique is almost done. It'd be good if we could finish that. So, is the lady on the boat still there? What was this? Did we look at this before? Apparently we did. At least I think we did. Lady, are you still there? Can you give us some money, maybe? She's still there. Yo.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with at this late hour?
It's night. Don't you ever sleep? Matter of fact, I don't. She takes another sip. What is that? Or why is that? I have a medical condition of my own. Nothing unusual, though. I'm old, you see. No, you're not. You look young. Thank you. I do what I can to remain presentable. Now ask me some questions. It'll help us pass the night. I've got some more questions about reality. Oh, where's the... Give me some money. Is it here? Oh. Ooh. Okay. What is think of something close to you? 6 kilometers southwest, in the Valley of Dogs, Junior Officer Chad Tilbrook takes aim at a rabid black dog licking its wounds in the grass. To his left, his partner, Emil Mullins, whispers, "You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset in Martinez." "Yes, he lost his mind," Tilbrook answers, finger on the trigger. "Don't worry, Emil." He pulls on it slowly. Slowly now. He'll find it again. We always do. What am I? You? You're an officer of the RCM, she says, energetically. The Revocol Citizens Militia? Precisimo. Or even Precissimundo. Good. What is the Revocol Citizens Militia? Nothing more or less than the de facto law enforcement of post-revolutionary Revocol, detective. You said de facto. Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government and to its chagrin. What do you mean? The RCM's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Ailments Acts. 3 pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire stasis to the benefit of foreign capital. So... I'm basically a thrall to foreign interests. There's nothing basic about your role, detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent provisional government likes it. She leans in. Yet on the other hand, I know these people. I deal with them daily. Let me tell you, dear, they are not fans of you. Why? The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revocol in the 20s was hell. Especially on the west side of the river, gang warfare, a botched privatisation scheme, a nuclear power meltdown. They called it the international zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility. The RCM restored peace where the coalition failed. A true blue citizens' initiative. She smiles. They will never forgive you. So permit me to conclude with this. Who you are, to me, is the police, the only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revocol. Thank you, ma'am. And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I'm here to help. She bows and smiles. Okay. What is this acute encephalopathy? Which I have difficulty saying, so let's get a definition of it. It's a neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Symptoms include retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out. She conveys it in short, cold bursts, trying not to invest too deeply in the condition of this doomed detective, in case he goes down later, souring the entire portfolio. I know you've got a lot riding on me. I won't let you down. It's not just me, Detective. All of Martinez has placed its chips on your success. I pray we've all bet wisely. What causes encephala blah 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 blah? Well, it's either bariatric surgery, whoa, or long-term alcohol use. It's definitely the drinking. She nods. I think, did we ask her that before? I think I've got this amnesia thing. What times are these? These are unimportant times, Detective. She puts her finger to her lips, then points at you. You and I were born after the dust settled, 1,000th of a second too late. Too late for what? For the big time. Her eyes light up. There's a flash of teeth. What's the big time? The revolution, she says. Ha! And what is this revolution I keep hearing about? It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. Who got shot in the head? Those would be the communists, generally speaking. 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution, but the communists, they all got shot in the head. She's not gloating. It's a relieved celebration. Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them as well. So, well, one forgets they even existed. Did the communists and the anarchists shoot back? Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people. That's a tragedy. Yes, the Red Deluge. The Insulidian Deluge, they call it. Anyone else get shot in the head on the opposing side? Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. She shakes her head. Just as well. He wasn't actually the king, just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad. Cowardly king. I prefer the term risk-averse. King Wilhelm was nobody's fool. He could smell a PR disaster brewing. So he got out alive, and his nephew Frissel got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kinsmen. It was a wild time. Okay. Would you say it was a bunch of apes duking it out? Why, of course, we're talking Duke Out Central, full swing interspecies warfare. And the apes, were they evil? No, I wouldn't say the apes. I would say the apes were neutral. She looks at me, her gaze sharp. Okay, neutral. On the other hand, she turns north to the bombed-out buildings lining the waterfront, then shivers slightly. Who got the mineral rights? The Liberals got the mineral rights. She looks up at the sky, then inland at the crumbling city, and by mineral rights I mean everything. And by liberals you mean? Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective, or the remaining gentry, the beneficiaries of pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy, big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well. How did the Liberals win it all? They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone just got shot. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember? She's one of them, of course. If everyone got shot, who was there to surrender to? To foreign intervention, the coalition, those people really took the mineral rights. Wait, you just said that the Liberals already took everything. The Liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. She stomps her rubber-booted foot. The ocean, the laws, and the people. Who are the coalition? The coalition of nations, Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Orange, and Selachef, the armed centre of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do. There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause. Moralist. The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is, do they? Oh, great. They believe in mineral rights and not shooting people in the head. Well, at least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, and the coalition government. This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist. The colour of moralism is blue. The official motto of the Moralintern or Moralist International is a blue forget-me-not, a piece of the grey sky. Unofficial for a moment, there was hope. Oh. If I'm always picking the option that doesn't commit to anything, then hell yes I am, and also not. And almost endearingly moralist standpoint, she bows. It must be hard to take a moderate approach to head shooting in your line of work. When was this kerfuffle? The turn of the century revolution? She smiles mischievously. Don't answer it, it's a trick question. The revolution began in 02 on the Grad Isola, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved. You started it. It wasn't a who, but a what, a pandemic of Zarath, a particularly virulent prison disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government. Wow. What did this Zarath do? It made people overthrow their governments. Wow, really? Of course not. It was a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed the brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark. Where did it spread from there? From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in 08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end. What came next? Why, you and I, officer. She spreads her arms, raincoat flapping in the wind. Our lives in the zone of control. Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Our lives are not the same. No doubt, but we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you'd think. What is the zone of control? A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the coalition of nations, and you, of course, the citizens' militia. The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of a pre-appropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armoured motor carriage. The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune. What happened to the rest of the world? Modernity. They developed the marvels of intersolary communication. That was the struggle. Telematic milius, radiation, coloured plastics. Meanwhile, in Revicol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade. 51 minus 8, 43. So you're saying it's been 43 years? Time flies. What have we been doing all this time? The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river levelled offshore with platforms in flame. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell. And after that? The 30s, things settled down in the 30s. Revicol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere. And were they? No, it was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splash, an isola-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are. She curtsies. Wow. Welcome to reality, baby. New skill point. We might, start using these skill points. Maybe we'd be, slightly better at doing stuff. From the looks of it, the 50s haven't been much better for the zone of control. You can see it in her eyes, days slipping away. You don't seem thrilled. I've no right to be dissatisfied. She shakes her head. This shirt is Barbara Muskova? Yeah. This raincoat is impervious to rain and is guaranteed for 100 years. My daughters will wear it. No, it's just... She looks at the crumbling tenements, paint flecking from the stone. Her voice is almost wistful. We could have had so much more. Every one of us. If only we'd played it right. What would you have done differently? Good question. She cranes her neck. What would you have done differently? No, her first. I asked you. Who are you in all this? And I asked you, past less detective of the citizens' militia, what insight has acute encephalopathy given you? I would have sought a medical solution. Sounds like Zarath drove those people mad. So a quarter of humanity simply lost their minds? And how would you stop a prison, a complex folding protein, unlife with the technology 50 years ago? Ah. With hygiene, modest social care, and perhaps a little research program? Good hygiene, really? A very moderate solution to an extreme problem. It's those sort of half measures that doomed the authorities in Grad. When they failed to step up, Mazov and his party stepped in. In this particular case, maybe a more robust state response might have been appropriate. Okay. That's enough for now. They are what they are. Who knows, an afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know? Is there? Is there indeed? What? Okay. I want to know what you are. She won't maneuver her way out of this one. What are you? I am the vilest of the vile, she says, with a sudden flash of teeth. A traitor, a devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra. I don't understand. What's so vile about that? Haven't you heard? She nods pedagogically. I'm a nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp, one of those who pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. I can see you thought I'd gone extinct. No sane person identifies as an ultra-liberal anymore. Not in broad daylight. She looks you in the eye. You're a centrist at heart, a real moralist. Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, do you find me frightening? In her green eyes you see a mixture of truth and self-satire, decades of guilt and pride. Forgive her. But only because you like pearlescent teeth and those light green eyes. I forgive you. I do hope so. She bows. I hope we're able to remain collegial despite it. Remember, we were partners, whether you like it or to admit it or not. There's blood on many hands, I assure you. When the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. She turns her gaze to the Delta. This was all our last generation managed. Would you have done something differently? With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery, I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the coalition, not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta beachheads either, if not for my own sake, then for my daughter's. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isola down rather than let them have it. Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes, an oil fire on the ocean. You're a patriot? Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here. You have daughters? Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. She closes her eyes, then opens them again. Now, shall we return to reality? We probably should very soon. What is this? Spread your hands. A bird? She tilts her head. A spheniclid? A flightless bird of the polar regions. Keep guessing. Some sort of krill hunter? No, wait. Joyce raises her eyebrows. You're an ancient ruin, a symbol of hubris and decay, half submerged in some salty sea. Are you saying I'm ruined? Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games. I meant, what is this place here? Ah, she spreads her arms almost wide. This is the pier of Rue de Saint Ghislaine, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two. She looks around. What is that? A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see, and new buildings battlements, after les battlements nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux, they're old. She looks up at the crumbling facade. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall, a real high-rise by the standards of the last century, built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course. Who lived in them? Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons locked 4 or 5 stories off. Splat, splat. From a dilapidated balcony, a young girl in odd clothes gives Joyce the evil eye, a red paintbrush held to her throat. Wonderful. What is that? Point to Cindy the skull. The girl in the old lady rags? Yes. Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of teen infraculture. Infra? Culture? Yes. You and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture, with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There's no refuge from the superculture. Okay. Explain that again, but to a child. Young people who dye their hair funny colours and wear old people's clothes are stupid, and their little rebellion is self-defeating. She pauses to take a long, leisurely sip of tea. All right, what next? Suddenly you're not so sure you're part of the supraculture. I think I may be part of an infraculture. Her eyes go around with surprise. And what would that be? So to go disco or cop or disco cop? Probably disco. Ha! I can see that, yes. I dabbled in those dark arts myself not so long ago. She smiles enigmatically. I assure you, it was a thoroughly supracultural phenomenon. All permeating, downright mandatory. Nothing infra about disco, baby. Your disco? Those days are long behind me. She looks inland with sarcastic wistfulness. And even in the early 30s I would say I was more a new girl. Disco was a minor, but still enjoyable facet of the whole thing for me. The new, a cultural era, and the name of the decade it ravished, the 30s. It came out of the post-revolutionary revival. It was uniliberal. It involved lots of partying, as you might imagine, and champagne coloured everything. But by the looks of it, that would have been when you came of age. Now, she raises an eyebrow at you. Sounds fun. I can't remember a single thing. Wasn't it Guillaume de Lemillion who said, if you can remember the new, you weren't there? For some reason your mind is a veritable repository of Guillaume Lemillion lyrics, trivia and B-sides. But the time to explore this is when you're alone. Facing a mirror, perhaps? Right now it would derail the reality lowdown. Okay. So it's getting very late. So I think we'll leave that for now and maybe have a look at one of our additional thoughts next time. So thank you for watching. Please come back and so long.